Papi is one of the most interesting and entertaining people I've ever met. I would argue he's just as interesting and just as entertaining as the brand itself, if not more.
Stay off the cuff, that's OFF. Show them bars to the worldwide net. Are the drinks made yet? Pass one to me. Blessed he, the old-fashioned king, the old-fashioned king.
Virginia is for Grubbers. We are back again with another Old Fashioned Friday where we review old fashions every single week on Fridays, baby. We have over 150 plus episodes, over 3.5 years every Friday. If you like old fashions, bourbon, hit us with a follow. This week we have Virginia's own, the Papi's Old Fashioned Elixir. This is a pre-made old fashioned syrup, which it states that if you mix it with Virginia's own MurLarkey's bourbon, it's supposed to be phenomenal. Disclaimer, we shot a video 2 or 3 years ago at MurLarkey with Papi, the guy who this is named after. Regardless of how this review goes, I highly recommend giving them a visit if you're in the Northern Virginia area. Papi is one of the most interesting and entertaining people I've ever met. I would argue he's just as interesting and just as entertaining as the brand itself, if not more. He is kind of the brand over there at MurLarkey. Great guy. We enjoyed his old fashioned when we shot the episode 3 years ago, but this is his pre-made mix that we're gonna give a whirl today. We review these pre-made old fashions off of 3 things. It's 0 through 2 on appearance, which is the bottling, the packaging, the colors, the marketing, etc. 0 through 4 on the first sip, 0 through 4 on the overall experience. Max score you can get is a 10. We'll jump into this appearance first. 375 milliliter bottle. You're gonna get approximately 20 old fashions off of this. Price point $14.99. Phenomenal price point considering you're gonna get about 20 old fashions out of this bottle. Price point of the MurLarkey bourbon was $69.99. High price point for bourbon, but it's local. Again, great people over there. So we got the MurLarkey. It says on the back of the bottle that you should mix it with MurLarkey bourbon. You don't have to, but they highly recommend it. So I wanted to do this review justice by getting the exact products to ensure that we give it the best possible result here. As far as the packaging is concerned, I like the bottling, I like the colors, I like the fact that Papi's name's on it because I'm a big fan of his. It says on the back here, the Old Fashioned is one of the first cocktails ever created, and no one makes a better Old Fashioned than Papi. His light, refreshing cocktail is complex, yet delicate and lingering. For years, folks from far and wide have asked Papi to provide his secret mix. Today, it's yours, and today we have it. It also says the ingredients are a blend of handmade raw cane sugar syrup, amarena cherry juice, although it says cheery, C-H-E-E-R-Y. I feel like that should probably be cherry, but maybe it should be cheery. Maybe you should be happy about the amarena juice. And a dash of bitters. Perfectly balanced. Papi Old Fashioned. Off of appearance, max score you can get is 2. I'm a fan of the actually 750 milliliter bottles. However, with a pre-made syrup, that would be a little bit of overkill. You'd be looking at like 40 old fashions, which is a ton, but I like it. I'm gonna go 1.8 off of the marketing, packaging, appearance, and all that jazz. Let's jump into this, baby. It says to add 2 ounces of MurLarkey bourbon or their smokehouse whiskey. I didn't get the smokehouse purposely because it has a very smoky flavor and I wanted to do kind of your standard OF recipe. 1/2 ounce of the mixer, elixir, and 2 ounces of the bourbon. So that's easy enough. So we'll open this up. Nice pop. Smells pretty good. 1/2 ounce. And then we're gonna go 2 ounces of the bourbon. These are fresh bottles, just purchased at the ABC store. Oh yeah. All right, 2 ounces of the bourbon. I will say, I feel like the syrups definitely have an edge over the pre-made old fashions that are in a bottle. I just think it's way more difficult to do a perfectly balanced recipe and have it sit on the shelf and last long if all the stuff is already there. So the syrups have typically done a lot better. And also it says to pour it over ice and stir it, which a lot of the pre-made old fashioned syrups do not say to do. And I think that's the biggest mistake that all the pre-mades make is that they don't do that. We're gonna give it a stir, maybe 15, 20 seconds. You know what I mean? You let a little bit of the ice dilute into the cocktail because water is one of the ingredients that should be in an old fashioned. Obviously not a ton of water, but a little bit of water. We're gonna give this a pour over our giant piece of clarified ice. If you don't have clarified ice, you can get the best clarified ice in the DMV at stillice.com. That's what we're using today. So 1.8 off of appearance. Here we go. MurLarkey's Papi Old Fashioned Elixir with MurLarkey's bourbon. First sip, cheers, here we go. Very good, very smooth. First reaction off the first sip, like very smooth. Before we recorded this, I said to Brad, my buddy, it said 1/2 ounce of this. I said, I feel like that's not enough. I feel like that's the perfect amount. This is 100 proof, so I thought the bourbon was gonna give me a strong kick. Insanely smooth. A nice amount of sweetness. I'm gonna do a second sip, man. That was really good. It's clean. This is probably gonna be somewhat of a high score. The smell off of the 100 proof bourbon smells like it's gonna be a spicy cocktail before you actually take your sip. So I was preparing for it to have a bit of a bite to it. No bite. Incredibly smooth. First sip, I'm gonna go 3.6. It's incredibly smooth, incredibly good. MurLarkey's Papi Old Fashioned overall, here we go. This is dangerously smooth and easy to drink. I could drink like 3 or 4 of these, no problem. Out of all of the pre-made Old Fashions we've shot, if I had guests over and I wanted to do something quick and make them an Old Fashioned, I think this would be my go-to. We have some pre-mades that are in a bottle that's got some really good scores, but I think this beats them as far as the overall taste is concerned. And it's not that difficult to make. You're just mixing the bourbon with a half an ounce of that and you're basically done. So really good. Last sip, here we go. Consistency is top notch. I said 3.6 for the first sip. I'm gonna stick to the same 3.6. There we have it, the MurLarkey Papi Old Fashioned, local to Virginia. Virginia is for Grubbers. Shout out to Papi. Cheers.